What's up, believers? My name is Michael, and I am one of your hosts here on Make Us Believe, a wrestling podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans.
What's going on, guys? My name's John. I'm a longtime wrestling fan too. Excited to join the podcast.
Right. This is kind of a reboot. We used to have one, host kind of fell out and everything. So starting over with one of my best friends of all time. We met when we were stationed together in the Navy. And we both discovered that we've been wrestling fans for well over 30 years now, right?
Yeah. I started watching in 1989 at the ripe age of 4 years old, and I know you've been watching forever too.
Yeah, I've been watching since well, yeah, about three or four that I can remember. But yeah, my dad used to watch and had me like on his lap and stuff like that. So literally been watching since before I could talk. So
It's awesome. Yep. My dad wasn't a fan, but he was a good sport. I remember he took me to Survivor Series here in Detroit in '91. Bought me the big foam Hulkamania hand. So we were cooking.
that's awesome. No, that's awesome. Um, okay, so in this podcast we're gonna talk about WWE and WWE exclusively. If that works for you guys, hopefully. There's a lot of wrestling content out there, and quite literally not enough time in a week to consume all of it. So we're just going to focus on the big one. Um,
Yeah.
so with that being said, John, what do you like going on right now? Like what stories are catching your attention? What is production doing that you like? You know, what's, what's on your playlist right now, as it were?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm enjoying the product overall. I wouldn't say it's anything over exciting at the moment, which I will say, you kind of do like to see a little bit more of that, especially with, the going home shows leading into Money in the Bank, which is one of my favorite pay-per-views. Um, but I know we both were talking a little while ago. We both kind of felt the same way going into WrestleMania too, and WrestleMania paid off. I thought it was a pretty good show overall. So I still have faith. Money in the Bank is one of the big ones. I'd say, besides Mania and Rumble, it's probably my favorite pay-per-view. So I'm excited about it. It kind of sets new pathways, makes new opportunity, makes new stars a lot of times. So I'd say, for the most part. It seems weird because it's not really technically something in the present, but I'm excited for the future. We're going into Money in the Bank. I like the roster a lot for the Money in the Bank cards. I'm curious what they're going to do with, Sammy, because, he's kind of on the outside looking in with this stuff. But, they kind of keep hinting that he might be getting an opportunity soon. Punk, kind of falling short again with that. He's on the hunt. They're doing a pretty good job with these bigger stars on the hunt, not really sure where their avenue is going to come, kind of keeping you guessing. I'd say that's the big thing I like right now.
I agree with that. Like, um, I know we agree on a lot of stuff, but I will say that it seemed that back, in the before times when it was all Vince and everything that they taught, or they would push the same top guys over and over and over again,
Mhm.
and those storylines got old. Even when it's, the either the pursuit of the title or them holding on to the title or anything, it was just flip-flopping back between the same, it seemed like three or four people, and it got boring, and you had 60 other guys on the roster that got no play whatsoever. um so I
Oh
like what
yeah, I
they're
feel
doing
like there
now.
was a
They're
decade there where it
cycling it
was.
through.
Oh, sorry.
No, no,
Yeah,
no, no, it's
yeah.
cool.
No, but to your point, yeah, I feel like there was a decade where it was like Triple H, Cena, Orton, and maybe some outlier would get the belt in the shuffle. But like those three, like they were.
Hello. Hello. Johnny there?
Here, can you hear me? Can you
There
hear
you
me?
are. There you are.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird. Like I literally muted it and unmuted it to to like I don't know. It must have just like reset it. I have no idea what happened, but I've been talking for a minute. What was the last thing you heard?
The last thing was the like the back when you were talking about like Orton and Triple H and
Yeah,
stuff.
so just to recap that really quick, and I'm sorry guys, new podcast kicking off or the reboot. We're gonna have a few technical errors here and there, but essentially I'm just saying, there's a long period of time where it was Triple H, Cena, and Orton, and even though those guys are huge pivotal players in the modern era of WWE, it got old at a point for all of them. And like now you really don't know where it's going to go. Like sure, Roman and Cody had long title reigns, but they haven't had, and I guess you could argue a long time ago Roman's had a few, but they're not always the champ, like they're not losing it just to win it right back. So I do like that, a lot of guys are kind of getting opportunities and you don't know where the next opportunity is going to come. It does leave you guessing. You're not sure about anything.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and it gives you a set like I don't want to sound cheesy with this, but it's like a sense of hope. You see the guys, the superstars coming up from NXT, and they're putting their stuff on the line, week in week out in developmental. Trying to come up and make it to the main roster, and you're actually able to get there. It seems. And it's not the fact
Yeah,
of like you're just going to get there and be another mid-card person that's just going to be, a feeder for Cena or a feeder for Orton or whatever. It's you have a legitimate shot at claiming some gold. We're not just looking at the big man model anymore. Like we're looking at legitimate people who can wrestle, who can be, hot on the mic, and that the fans are actually going to support and get behind.
100%, man. Yeah, like in the last 10 years of Vince, if you were coming up from NXT, like I'm not saying you had an impossible chance, but like, pickings were pretty slim and they were doing a lot of these NXT stars dirty. So it's good to see, like everybody's got a pathway, everybody's got an opportunity. If you shine like in NXT, you're gonna at least get a chance at some point to shine on the main roster. And I think like even back before Triple H took over, I think you kind of saw that more with the women's division. But also, and I don't mean this in any kind of disrespectful way. I love the women's division, but it's not as crowded as the men's division could be. So I think it's organically a harder track to sort of rise to the top when you're in the men's division.
Yeah, I believe that. There's a lot, it's a lot busier. Like you said, it's a lot more crowded. With the women's, it kind of sucks because it's kind of like that catch 22, right? Like there's not that many, so it's easier to break in. It seems like it would be easier to break in, even with, the amount of talent that they have in there, because they have some bomb talent. Let's be honest. But
Oh yeah,
uh, but it's a lot easier to not care as much because there's not as many superstars there to fill out those storylines or make them engaging or have the crazy amounts of stories that you can on the men's side, which is unfortunate, because then they're going to kind of get lost in the shuffle. And then it's almost leaning towards getting back towards that era of like, oh, look, the Divas match is on. Now it's time to go to the bathroom or something, which, nobody
yeah,
wants.
yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. We're men here. Like, I'm not saying like a bra and panties match was the most terrible thing to watch, but it really didn't have it was empty substance. Like pillow fight matches, like it there are some dark days of that division where like, I'm not trying to sound like, ultra feminist here, but like it is kind of insulting to that fan base where like, like this is what we have for you. Like I know you've worked your ass off to learn some wrestling skill, but we got this match and we're gonna have the guys hooting and hollering at you and it's just it is, I do feel bad for some of the people from that era. Now, don't get me wrong, like you had people who were just straight models who were looking for a good payday, but you also had some really athletic, decent talent there. And eventually they were able to do some things and eventually transition past the Divas era. But yeah, they've come a long way.
Yeah, they really have. And I mean,
Yeah.
I will take a Rhea Ripley over, you know, a Trish Stratus and bra and panties any day. Like
You
I
know,
would much rather watch a match with Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss just go at it than, you know, Trish Stratus versus, I don't know, Jackie in a bra and panties match or a Jello pool match or whatever it was, you know?
yeah, I mean that's because we're wrestling purists, right? Like, and listen, Trish Stratus, I'll say this probably till the day I die, hottest woman I've ever seen in my life, especially in her prime. She's still gorgeous, but
Yeah,
so I mean, obviously, I was a big fan of everything she was doing, but yes, you're right. Like, and even though like her and Lita get a lot of credit for paving the way, and I'm certainly not even arguing that, if you take them in their prime and put them in this division, they're not going to look good. Like, they're not. They were decent wrestlers in a horrible era. But
yeah,
yeah, I agree. Now, like the women's storylines are real storylines. These women are real wrestlers. Like they're here to do this. They're not here to, do some weird like sexy gimmick. But yeah, I'm certainly a fan of how it's evolved.
yeah. I absolutely am too. Like I want to see wrestling. I don't want to see a gimmick or, just a sideshow kind of thing. Um, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you had back in the day, like what was the closest we had? Like China. We had like China and
Yeah.
her IC run, and she went in, she got into, Royal Rumble and everything like that, and that was groundbreaking at the time, and it absolutely
Oh yeah.
was. And she was able to hold her own against, in the men that she was wrestling. Granted, she wasn't as good as most of them because she did just come, she came from a, um, was it like a fitness model or a workout, like a bodybuilding background versus the
Yeah, it was
wrestling
something like
background.
that.
But she learned the ropes and she was actually like doing, working with them and putting in the work.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Yeah.
like, I you can't, take, the top three women in there. You could put them in the United States Championship picture or the IC picture and have banger matches against those men because they're all wrestlers now.
Yeah. And
So,
to your point, you could take the bottom three women of this division now, and they'd be the best wrestlers in the late 90s, early 2000s.
yeah, absolutely. They would be like show stopping.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, they got done dirty. I think is just really what what it comes down to is they got done dirty back then and there was a different vision and they were trying to, we know they were trying to push ratings because, the company was on the line and everything. But I am much happier now that it has evolved to the point where we get to see actual talent do actual wrestling.
And maybe we were a golden age for this too, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend as a teenager I didn't seriously enjoy some of those matches. But
Yeah,
also, now that I'm a little bit older and more mature, I really appreciate that we get to see real wrestling out of that division now. So, like, I guess it was the best for me at each time.
I can appreciate that. Like coming up and really understanding what what wrestling was and how it's happening and stuff like that, getting that brush off of like, that like little kids believe in Santa and then you learn Santa's not real kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, wrestling's real, wrestling's real. Oh no, wrestling's not real," kind of thing. Having that realization happened for me around a little bit before the Attitude Era happened. So watching the Attitude Era, still having kind of like that leftover like emotional connection to it and everything of like believing, kind of the whole premise of this show, it's like them suspending the belief that it's not, that it's scripted and everything and that what's happening is actually happening. They were really good at that. And the Attitude Era elicited emotional responses in me and I loved it. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. I loved quote unquote growing up in the Attitude Era, but also I love the fact of now, like you said, in the best of both worlds, I'm older, I'm more mature. I can look at it from a more analytical point of view after learning a lot more about the business and everything, and I can
Mhm.
like really appreciate the effort and the skill and the talent that's going into everything that's in the product right now. So I'm just out here living my best life. I don't know.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
All right, so uh, I mean, yeah. That being said, are there any storylines that are catching your eye right now that you're just like really invested in?
Oh, right now, at the moment, I wouldn't say I'm extraordinarily blown away by anything besides, I guess, the matchmaking for Money in the Bank. I like I said, I think there's things that are kind of building that I'm interested in, kind of, with Seth or Seth, Punk and Sammy and Gunther, um, all kind of gearing up to make a run at the world title, and we don't really know like how this is going to work. Like these are all big guys on the same show who kind of need a spot, and they're all worthy people to I guess eventually dethrone Jay. But I guess yeah, I guess right now there's nothing that I'm I guess super impressed by, but there's a lot on the horizon. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of make a really good story here. And I'm also, I'm hoping for a heel turn somewhere too, whether it be Punk or Sammy. I think that that would be awesome too. And I'm just going to tell you personally, like, I'm okay with Punk getting a run here. I hated that man for like a decade, hated him the entire time he was in the AEW. As soon as he came to WWE, something changed. Like it's like he became a team player again. I'm back in on Punk. I'm okay with him having the title at some point, but Sammy's paid his dues. Um, I will say face Sammy is a little stale to me right now. So like it's a good time, or at least building to a good time for him to make that heel turn and go after his old longtime friend Jay and hopefully take the title from him. I think that that would be awesome. Um, Other than that, I bummed to see our truth get fired. That's recent news. At the same time, I know on the internet, like people are kind of losing their minds about it. I'll say I loved our truth, still love our truth, but he was really a comedy gimmick for like at least the last decade. I'm not saying I think it's a major loss or anything. He didn't have to be on every show. It's still disappointing, like because whenever he's on, you're entertained. It's funny, it's light, it's good comic relief. But I think that also, he's had a really good run, for what he is. And he got to go out facing Cena, at a PLE. Um, I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm gonna act as hurt as some of the people in the IWC are, but also still bummed to see him go.
I have feelings about this. Our truth is a goddamn national treasure. I am sorry for swearing out there. No, all honesty, that man deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He just does, and I understand his prime is far past. We all agree on this. He was basically relegated to um, backstage comedy promos. He was just a comic relief guy, but I have literally never seen somebody do their job as well as our truth does his. And
No,
not only that,
he knows it real well.
yeah, and not only that, like to not only do his job that well, but to get the crowd behind you every single time. He was able to
Well,
get
it's
wrestlers to break. He was able to get the crowd behind him. He was able to get the crowd laughing. I the before when he came out with the Cena gear and it said Ron Cena
right. Yeah,
last
Ron
time,
Cena.
that shirt over a week became one of the top selling shirts in the
It was,
WWE
and they just
store.
pulled it. It's a
They
bummer.
just
Yeah, like
it's crazy. It's crazy to me. And I'm like, even if you weren't gonna have him wrestle, it makes to me it makes no sense to not have our truth on your roster, even if he's not gonna wrestle, because you can plug him in anywhere. Because he
yes.
doesn't have to be part of a storyline. He can just be that comic relief that can literally show up to anybody and just start talking and create magic. So to
Yeah.
me, it's mind blowing of why you wouldn't want him. So I'm
Yeah,
upset.
I
I'm
mean,
legitimately upset. He's also the winningest champion of all time.
You're right. He's
So
got like 60 titles or something. Like
yeah,
now,
it's
don't get me wrong.
ridiculous.
Like I'm sure 55 of them are the 24/7 title.
54 of
But
them are, yes.
oh wow, that was just a guess. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
54
Yeah.
titles, 54 of the 24/7 title. He was like a two-time or at least a two-time tag champion. He's been United States champion. So
Yep.
it's like, yeah, he legitimately has like close to 60 titles or something like that. It's way more than Cena has. They're not
Yeah,
world
they put it
titles,
up.
sure, but he is the winningest champion of all time, hands down.
He
And I
is. He
do
is.
not think
Do,
anyone's ever going to beat that record.
quick trivia. Do you know whose record for most WWE titles he beat?
No.
This is a deep cut. I don't expect many people to get it, but it is.
Wait, this is gonna be. I feel like this is gonna be like a tag or something like that.
No, but you have the right thing in mind where you can kind of rack up a lot of titles. It is Raven. Quote the Raven, nevermore. He had a bunch of hardcore titles, which had basically become an earlier version of the 24/7 title.
Would not have guessed Raven. I literally would never have guessed that.
Yep, he had a ton of hardcore titles. Now, don't get me wrong, like I think Truth like blew him out of the water with all those 24/7 titles that he won because he'd win it like three times in a night. Like it was out of control. But
It's
remember he
great.
went to like what's his name? Gosh, I forget. He was bigger in TNA, but I think it was Drake Maverick or yeah, it was like his wedding and like he's like walking down the aisle. He's got his 24/7 title on, and then he just a referee pops out and Truth is behind him and rolls him up at his wedding. Like yeah, that's the kind of stuff you're gonna miss, right? Like, and granted that was years ago, but that's what Truth offers you. Like he can really kind of make a really great moment anywhere at any time. He made Brock Lesnar break character. Like, dude's just great.
It was fantastic. And
Mhm.
I love that segment in particular. I know the one you're talking about because he's sitting there and Paul Heyman's laughing, which, Paul Heyman's laughing. He's
Yeah,
still in character and stuff, but he broke
yeah,
Brock. Like, he legitimately broke Brock. And you can
yeah,
see Heyman is broken in character, even though he's, still in character or whatever. Heyman's broken too. Like, he did it. I think
oh
Truth is
yeah.
broken Undertaker, actually.
I don't know if he's broken Undertaker. I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, he's broke Cena. He's broke a ton of people. And I guess with the Brock thing, I heard Heyman interviewed a while ago. I guess he had told him like he wanted him to try to break Brock. He didn't want to know anything he was going to say, and he didn't want Brock to know anything he was going to say. He just wanted him to like he challenged him basically to see if he could break Brock. And yeah, he wound up breaking both of them out there.
It's so good. He
Yeah.
if Ron Killings does not end up in the Hall of Fame, I'm 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 going to send a strongly worded email to
I
corporate
feel like
because
I feel like with some of the people you have in there, you gotta put him in.
you have to.
He's been there so long. He's done everything so well. Yeah, I mean, he's the most winningest champion in WWE history. Yeah, I feel like you gotta put him in.
And like as a legitimate one too. Like not like, oh, in the celebrity wing kind of thing where Snooki is, which is still a freaking travesty or whatever. Like in like legitimate in the Hall of Fame, he's
Yeah,
earned it. He has legitimately earned it in my opinion. He's always
I
been one of my
agree.
favorite guys, and he's always just been a team player. And I mean, come on, I don't know. So yeah, I agree with the as a member of the IWC, I am enraged as well, and I don't understand what the reasoning was behind this.
And you know what? Not to transition at all, but I actually think that that would be a good future episode. Just who we think some good future Hall of Famers are, like outside of the
Ooh,
obvious.
I like that. I'm gonna write that down. I'm
Yeah.
taking notes. So as far as what I like going on right now, I like the story shift with Seth and Braun Breaker and Heyman because Heyman was getting a little stale as the wise man.
Hmm.
Um, Seth is always Seth and he's glorious. I love Seth. He's one of those guys that can just reinvent himself like on a dime and make it work, in my opinion. He's just he oozes charisma. He's extremely talented. Like I love Seth. So seeing him in a new, like a new storyline where he's creating a faction and going forward, um, I'm on board and I want to see where it goes. I was not a fan of Braun Breaker. Um, just I have my own opinions about it. He is talented. He's great. I don't like the way that he's been like his character has been created to where he's like a no-selling monster, but not a no-selling monster at the same time because it doesn't make sense in the ring psychology to me personally. It looks like he just no sells so he can look like a badass. And if you're just, shrugging off people's finishers for the sake of shrugging it off so you can look stronger, like that doesn't jive with me necessarily. But I like this for him because it's giving him a spotlight without giving him the spotlight.
Yeah,
So he can still
yeah.
fade into the back a little bit, play around, still be the badass, and like actually learn from Seth and from Heyman, um, and see like the little idiosyncrasies about how to make your character really pop and really get over, really, really work out, like how, get all of those ingredients put together to make him something really, really special. Um,
That's actually a great point. I didn't really think about that because you're 100. You hit it right on the head. He was getting pushed a little hard there, to where it was almost a little bit too fast. This kind of allowed him to allows them to pump the brakes on him a little bit. He's going to take more of a a background character, but he's also still going to be in the spotlight with Seth. And you're right, he's going to learn so much from Seth and so much from Heyman as a newer guy here who really hasn't been in the business that long. Um, I will say I disagree only with I liked Braun from the start, but it was getting to be a little too much. So I like this role for him. And yeah, great point about who he gets to learn from now. And also to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, Seth, like he's obviously very, very decorated, but I don't know if he's ever really been truly, or at least truly felt like the guy. This is a good faction they put together. Like this is a great faction for Seth. And to me, it kind of does. It's kind of Triple H saying, "All right, this is you. This is your faction." Because even when he was with the Authority, it was still kind of Triple H's faction. This is all Seth. So this is a really good opportunity for Seth to really kind of have a great shot to be the guy. And he feels like it right now.
Yeah, I super agree with this. Like he feels like he's in charge, like it was his brain baby. Like
Hmm.
we're back to him being the visionary, him being the architect, him setting it all up, like scheming in the background, like all the things you love about Seth Rollins, front and center. And he has the
Yep.
back, like he has Paul Heyman on his right hand. On top of that, like you can't go wrong with Paul. I'm a Paul Heyman guy. I
As am
think
I.
he's an absolute genius, and one of the best heels we have ever seen in the industry. The best manager, hands down, in my opinion.
I agree. I
So
agree. And I'm
I,
a big Bobby Heenan fan, but
yeah,
like taking it over. Absolutely.
yeah. So it just works, and I know they're billing it as a heel faction and everything as they should and stuff, but it just I'm really, really invested in it. And the fact, again, like they brought in Bronson Reed into the fold now, also, like maybe they're going to give him a little more spotlight now. You're like, hey, you get a little bit of shine off of that and stuff. He was
Yeah.
solid in the ring too, but he was kind of floundering. Oh, let's put big
Yep.
man versus big man and monster versus monster and all that stuff. Now he's actually getting a chance to be in a legitimate storyline and be part of it. So I'm interested to see what happens with him.
I agree because they were starting to do the same thing with him before he got hurt. They put him with the new bloodline, remember? And
Hmm.
he got hurt. He got hurt in that cage match, yeah, it was a cage match, right? It's seems it's quick. It's crazy how quickly you forget about some of these things. But he's been out for a minute after that, and the new bloodline has kind of fizzled or fizzling. It's evolved a little bit, and they've kind of moved on without him, which makes sense because he was only with them for like 2 weeks. So I think rather than putting him back with those guys, having him with Seth is just a good added advantage. And obviously he has a little history with Seth, which Heyman acknowledged where like he attacked Seth and he really kind of started to put himself over. He's hungry. Yeah, I think this is a faction that everybody will benefit from. Those two guys get to learn, get to get some extra spotlight. They're going to help elevate Seth, and Heyman has more notches in his belt as the GOAT manager.
Yeah. I love what you said right there. That the everybody's going to benefit from it. And that's, in my opinion, is what makes a stable truly successful. You know, it's not just
Yeah,
the star power that goes in it and everything like that, but it's the ability for everybody to share in a piece of the pie. I feel like that's why Judgment Day was so successful. Was,
yeah,
you know, you have, for all intents and purposes, like a bunch of guys that were on the mid card go in, start a stable, and are all pulling each other up at the same time, working as a
yeah.
team, and everybody's learning, everybody's growing, everybody's getting better while you're getting more, um, while you're getting more time on TV and everything. So I feel like that's the perfect way to judge the success of the long-term success of a stable.
And not to keep throwing these things out real time, but we could probably stand to do a podcast on best factions too.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, yeah. Start breaking some of those down. But yeah, I 100% agree with everything you're saying on that.
Um, yeah. I'm with you. I'm kind of I love Sami Zayn, but I am kind of over the the whole, his face side. Like clean cut Sammy is fun to watch. Um,
For a little bit.
but
Yeah.
for a little bit, but I Dark Sammy's amazing. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
could tell he has so much fun doing it. Um, and it opens up a lot of pathways. So when they do swap him, because I feel like with them bringing him in with Jay as much as they have, I feel like that's where that turn's gonna happen. I feel like Sammy is gonna turn heel and, I mean, potentially be the guy that takes the belt from Jay,
Yeah.
for his first world championship. Because it is kind of a travesty that Sami Zayn hasn't had a world title yet.
I
Um,
agree.
Even if he only gets one run with it, like give him one run. He's
Yeah.
earned it. Um,
I agree, man. It doesn't have to be a super long run. Give it to him for 4 months. He deserves that
yeah,
notch and see what he could do with it. Even if it's not like the most entertaining title run, like he's a guy who's paid his dues. He should at least get the opportunity to see what he looks like as world champ.
yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, so I want to see what develops there. My eyes are kind of glued to that. Just, to him and seeing where they're going with it, kind of trying to read in between the lines of
Mhm.
the different segments that he's in and stuff like that. Yeah, other than that, it felt, after WrestleMania, after Backlash, them building up towards towards Money in the Bank, which, arguably could, in my opinion, I think be like one, like, we look at the top four. Um, I would say now we have a top five with Money in the Bank being in there alongside Royal, Mania, Rumble, Survivor
Mhm.
Series, and SummerSlam. Uh,
Yeah.
as far as important PLEs go, it's right there. So
Yeah, I agree. It's not touch. They got the big four, but honestly, I put it above SummerSlam and Survivor Series. It's definitely a number three for me.
yeah, yeah. So I understand that the storylines have kind of been building towards those matches and stuff, but yeah, it just feels like a sit and wait, kind of like we're in a holding pattern right now as far as
Yeah.
big stories go. So interested to see what happens. What I guess at the time of this recording next week, right? Like next weekend,
Yep. This coming
or
weekend,
yeah, this
it's
coming weekend
it's
actually.
10.
Yeah. So interested to see what happens with it. See where our new Money in the Bank winners are going to be and everything. But yeah, uh, I'm excited. I guess I'm looking forward to the future as it goes on.
Oh yeah, excited and optimistic.
Okay. I want to do something we haven't done yet. I want to do like a top five quick check-in power ranking. I think we should incorporate this because this gives us a good benchmark, right?
I
Kind of
like it.
seeing
I
like
like it.
where you feel the product's at, who's on the rise, who's not on the rise, who's getting replaced, that kind of stuff.
Okay, I
So
like that.
yeah, let's just do a
I'm in.
top five. Uh,
Top five men, top five women.
no, just top five.
Ooh, all right. I have a top five for each, but I could see.
Okay, you know what? Go go
Yeah.
for,
Okay.
go top five women. Go for it. Go top five for both.
Okay. All right. I got a. For I'm gonna do an honorable mention first, and that's for Bailey. I love me some Bailey. Um, and I'll also do Charlotte Flair because I know the IWC's out on her. I think she's the GOAT. Bailey, I put as a 1B to her 1A. But right now they're not doing, Bailey's, at least kayfabe hurt. Um, but I'm looking forward to her return. So I'm gonna leave them off, but I'm looking for them to make more of a splash soon. Number five, I'm going to go Julia. I love that she's on the main roster. I love that she's getting a Money in the Bank opportunity. Um, People like Julia and Stephanie, I think it's a little tough for them because of the language barrier. So like historically, people who have that much of a language barrier don't always get as many opportunities, with the exception of EO, I'd say. But I think that their in-ring stuff speaks for itself. I'm curious to see how strong the stories could hold up, but they're both fresh. So I'm gonna put Julia on there, and as I was just mentioning, Stephanie is on there as well. I always butcher her last name, Vikir. They both look great. They both look amazing, and I'm excited to see them progress into the main roster. So that's five and four. Three, I'm gonna go Tiffany Stratton. I'd say her as a face is kind of cooling off a little bit. Um, she's still a little too green to be able to pull off a good face, I think. I think it's hard to be a good face and a good heel, where I think, a good heel is typically easier. But she was killing it for me. She's still the champ. She's still doing good things. So I'm gonna have her on my list. Um, Two, I'm gonna go Liv Morgan. Now I know same kind of idea. She's cooled off a bit, but she's still active with the Judgment Day. She just came back after shooting a movie. Wasn't gone too long. They're sprinkling some drama into the Judgment Day, which I think it needs. Especially we were talking about people getting released, Carlito being gone. So I think they got to do, they got to do some more stuff with Judgment Day. It's sort of it's getting stale. So I think that Liv is live in you know live in oh, why am I blanking on his name right now? Finn Balor. They kind of on a little power struggle of like who the leader of Judgment Day is right now, which I think is good. So I'm gonna put Liv on my list as two right now. And number one, I have to go Chelsea Green. I love me some Chelsea Green. I think she just kills every opportunity she has. It doesn't matter if they're pushing her or trying to bury her. She's going to get the most of her TV time. She's still, I'd be lying if I said I'm not most entertained in that division when she's on my screen. So that's how I'm going to round out my top five power rankings for now. Certainly subject to change after Money in the Bank, but I'm going to lock those in for the moment. For men, my honorable mention is El Grande Americano. He is doing really impressive things. He's the speed champion. He's in Money in the Bank. I believe he's undefeated, and I just think that Chad Gable really scored. Him kind of coming into American Made and doing great things. So honorable mention to him. Number five, I'm going to put CM Punk. He's been since coming back to WWE, he's been good. And we've talked about it offline, but I hated CM Punk for about the last decade. I didn't like all the shit he was talking. I didn't like his run in AEW at all. He just seemed like a whiny, old, grumpy man. But when he came back to WWE, man, he became a good soldier again. He's been doing everything right. I've been really entertained by him. I've been interested in following his story. So Punk does make my power rankings. Or I'm going to go Seth for pretty much everything we were talking about before. You know, this new faction's doing great things for him. I'm super interested in his, him kind of working his way back up the ranks to challenge for the world title. It just seems like a really new introduction to Seth. Which he you mentioned it earlier. He's great at reinventing himself. This is a good faction. So enjoying seeing that. Number three, I historically I've never been a fan of this guy, and I know he's one of the most over people of all time. But I'd be remiss not to put John Cena as number three. This heel run is awesome. He's got his 17th world title reign, which they're going to pretend is the record, but we all know Flair had 22. But for
Shut your
kayfabe
mouth.
reasons, like yeah, for kayfabe reasons, Cena's doing all the right things, and it's really entertaining. It's really interesting. So I'm going to put him at three. Um, Number two on the rise is Jacob Fatu. Man, he is so fun to watch. Um, he doesn't care about anything or anyone, including his own family and faction. The guy's just a bulldog, and he's so fun to watch. And then number one, I can't give it to anybody except for Cody. Like I'm a big mark for Cody Rhodes. I know he lost the title to Cena recently, but he still is the quarterback of this team. Like he's still the main guy, and I'm really curious to see what journey he's going to take to kind of get back into the mix. Obviously this tag match at Money in the Bank is a little bit of a throwaway to me, but it still has the opportunity to further storylines. So that is my power rankings right now. And feel free to do mixed gender or divide the divisions however you like. But those are mine.
Okay. I I I agree with you. I disagree my own power ranking wise or whatever, but you made some valid points. I will say that. Except for the one where you said that Cena was not the winningest champion because you're completely wrong in that. But other than that,
Facts are
um,
facts, dog. Facts are facts.
we're gonna get into this and it's not gonna be pretty, but we'll take that offline. Um, all right, so I'll go the same format. Let's go. We'll start with the women. Honorable mention. I'm also gonna put Bailey in there. Um, Injury or not, Bailey's the GOAT. Hands down the GOAT. And you can
Love Bailey.
people can say, like, oh, it's Charlotte, oh, it's Becky. Um, it's Bailey. It's always been Bailey. She's in my opinion, out of the original four horsewomen, she was the workhorse out of that.
Yeah,
And
she's my favorite. I
yeah,
get it.
so yeah, I have she got to be on the list. For number
Fair
five,
enough.
I'm gonna put Io down actually. Champion, she's cooling down, but she has gotten a decent push and she has been pretty solid in the ring so far. Um, she's low on the power rankings, like obviously could absolutely get kicked off depending on Money in the Bank goes and everything like that, but I mean, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Like she did take the title, she held her own um, in at Mania and at Backlash. Going and throughout the weeks, like she has held her own in the ring and given us good matches. Uh, yeah, so I have her at number five. For number four, I actually have Becky in there. Becky coming back. Um, I know she tends to steal the show or the spotlight when she comes back,
Mhm.
and that's not everybody's cup of tea, but introducing Becky into uh the current storyline that she's in with Lyra, for me feels that it's going to elevate the IC title up because now it has not a legitimate contender, but like kind of like a legitimate contender kind of thing. Even if she loses it, it's going to help elevate that belt up, which is going to only strengthen that belt's legacy and by in turn strengthen the division because it's going to give them something else other than just the women, the tag match or the tag titles or the women's world title to go for. So I feel like Becky, her introduction into this storyline specifically, puts her up on on that list.
Fair
Um,
points. I'm in the crowd that does not like Becky. I'm just so sick of her. I know she's been gone for a while, but man, like, yeah, I fall into that other crowd. But solid points to put her in.
yeah. And again, this could all change. Like Money in the Bank is probably going to change everything. Once Becky wins the title, like she might go down to honorable mention or get knocked off the list altogether. I don't know, but she's there for right now.
For sure.
Uh, for number three, I have Roxanne Perez actually. Since getting called
Okay,
up, she's been
I like
solid,
it.
solid in the ring, and her inclusion with Judgment Day has been fantastic. Like
Agreed.
I've not I've not been disappointed with anything she's been a part of, either promo wise or in ring. So I'm just kind of really excited to see where she's gonna go and how she's gonna play it and what they do with her. For
I
number
can't
two,
argue that, man.
I got Stephanie Vakir. Again, if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. She's fantastic. I was not super familiar with her until pretty recently, but going back and watching what she can do and seeing what she's currently doing, coming in that super baby face kind of like, look at me, I'm plucky upstart coming in from NXT. I'm the champion. I'm here to, challenge the best of the best kind of stuff. Like we've seen that play out before. It can work, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it she's solid in the ring and I want to see what she does with it. Then, they've just been kind of like really pushing her lately and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I mean, this coming weekend she's pulling double duty. It's like she's on both PLEs. So I'm like,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, give her a little bit, for some credit here. And for number one, it's Liv for me. I
Okay.
love Liv. Every time she's on screen, like she's great in her promos. She's convincing in her character, and especially for a smaller woman, she's fantastic in the ring. It's like her and Alexa Bliss are like two of the best in the division, like in the women's division, period. As far as I'm concerned, and they're two of the smallest. Like
Yeah, and
it,
she's
it
one too who needed to make that heel turn. She's
yeah,
so much better as a heel. Like, and it was years of her being a face that I couldn't get into either. But yeah, Liv is one of my favorites now. I'm with you. I no issue with you putting her on top.
yeah. So love you, Liv. Keep doing what you do. Look at me talking to her like she's actually gonna hear this.
Oh,
Um,
she's listening.
oh,
She's
there
a
we go.
regular listener.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. See, there we go. We love you. Never lose or lose. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not creative. I can't write your stories for you. Um, Now moving on to the men. For honorable mention, I'm gonna put down Cena. Um, we're in his farewell
Fair enough.
tour. We know that he's out after this, or presumably out. As long as he doesn't pull a Ric Flair and try two more runs at the WWE after he's retired. Um,
I mean, after this year-long farewell tour, like, gosh, that would be so brutal. But yeah,
it
I
would be
hear
so
you. You
bad.
never know. Never say never. That's
Right.
that's more true in wrestling than I think in anything else.
That's fair. I mean, CM Punk came back. Like
Yeah,
we've
seriously,
watched
seriously.
hell freeze over, guys. Like we've seen this
No
happen.
kidding. Yeah,
Um,
Punk and Cody coming back, like things
yeah,
I never thought could happen.
seriously. Yeah, he's the 17-time world champion. Um, all right, I'm just gonna bring it up. The reason why I disagree with you on this is because yes, WWE is only counting WWE championships, but that makes sense because they're not going to count championships from New Japan or AEW or Ring of Honor or any of those other ones that they haven't acquired yet,
Nay,
right?
nay. Allow me to interrupt you. Allow me this. All right. So that's not true though. With Ric Flair, he only has two WWF championships. He only has two. There's no way to add up his championships that even equals 16. He's got like, don't quote me, like 10 NWA and like 9 or 10 WCWs. Like and then like two WWEs. Like you can't add it up to 16. So you're either counting them or you're not. Like 16
Okay,
is just some make believe number WWE came up with.
I'm
So
gonna
they
have to go
are,
back and research
he's,
this.
yeah, he's only a two-time WWF champion. So they
Yeah,
are 100% counting outside titles, you know?
that
And
they
I could, yeah,
acquired.
yeah. So I'm gonna have to challenge you on that one.
I will research this. I'm gonna dig into it, but I understand because a lot of this stuff it's the same with the Dudleys and having like the most decorated tag team, right?
Mhm.
But they're counting ECW and WCW runs in that, which totally
Yeah.
fair. You acquired those IPs, like you bought those companies, like you can now include them in your stats if you so choose. I get that, which I know is what's happening with Flair, and I know some of that's going to be from the different either AWA or NWA, though, like during the territory years or the territories era, where those are going to add up. So sure, it adds up somewhere. We just have to figure out where it is or whatever, but they're not going to add in all of those if they haven't acquired that. Though, those numbers go in. Because otherwise, I mean, some of our guys that come over that have spent time in Mexico and Japan and stuff like that, they're way over 22 times. They've hit the Indies, they've hit all of these other ones. AJ Styles probably has more than 22 world championships on his own. I'm
Here,
just
all
throwing that
right.
out there as a
So
as a as a possibility. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I know I'm being very disruptive, and I'm sorry, but like
no,
I
it's
have
fine.
like I'm passionate about this too. Feel free to cut me off as well. But here's the thing. This is why I think you have to count WCW and NWA. Like you could argue you don't have to count certain ones. Like I certainly wouldn't count Ring of Honor or AAA and stuff like that. I think that you get to make a case if you're on TV. But I think the bigger case is that what's the significance of these companies where you held the world title? The NWA really like there wouldn't be other wrestling like WWE and WCW like their titles branch off the NWA title directly. Like there's a direct lineage to it. So I
There
think that you
absolutely
have to
is.
yeah, so like I think that you have to include NWA because it was such a powerhouse in the air. Like don't get me wrong, like Billy Corgan owns NWA now. They have a YouTube show. They have the title going. You can't count the NWA title today. Like you can't. There's an NWA champion. I don't recognize him as an official big, major world champion. But in Flair's era, I do. Um, and then in WCW, man, they beat WWE like for a long stretch. And even like there's outliers where they were beating them in certain weeks. So like they've beaten WWE enough to where that title has significance. So I do think those two titles are legitimate major world titles.
That's that, and I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying how they got to that number is they're only counting the titles, the world titles that belonged to companies that WWE acquired. So the WCW ones count not because WCW was whooping that ass, but because WWE bought WCW, so now they own all of those stats.
But
You
here's the
know,
problem. It doesn't. It still doesn't add up. If you just take the WCW and the WWF championships, it still doesn't equal 16.
I'm
Like
gonna
that's
research this. I'm gonna
yeah.
research this. I
Yeah,
oh
so
fun, so fun
yeah.
fact. I have done the research and I found I can trace Abraham Lincoln to the WWE Championship. I've done that as a side project because I wanted to see because he was Abraham Lincoln, our whatever 15th president. I don't know. Our president Abraham Lincoln was a well-renowned wrestler in his time.
I have
So
read that.
yeah, so I wanted to see how if I could trace it back to WWE, and I was able to. And you're right, it stems back from the territories and stuff. It's a whole thing, stems back the history of WWE, of how professional wrestling started and all that other stuff. But it basically goes down to the territories and how the territories created a conglomerate association that they could share talent with, which is how the NWA got started kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with those, that you're right, it branched off, and then once Vince went around and started buying up territories, he owns those. I think at one point, I don't. It obviously wasn't the NWA, but it was another one of the major um, the ones out there that was like that.
He bought
That was
AWA.
there we go.
AWA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're counting those and those world titles that might be associated with those, then once Vince, once WWE acquired WCW, who had acquired AWA, then, they own it, so they can use it. You can't use
But
NWA
see,
because they don't own NWA, so it doesn't count. The same way that Ric Flair could be world champion for, 7 years in AEW, and he would still not be the longest reigning champion of all time, kind of thing,
allow me to
because they
swing
don't
back
own it.
in to continue my argument. So AWA, I respect their history, but here's the issue with those world titles, right? They don't acknowledge them. Like I like they always talk about how Jerry Lawler never won a world title. Jerry Lawler was an AWA champion. They don't acknowledge it. And I think like they combined with another company too, and he won that title like 25 times. So like technically Jerry Lawler, you could make an argument for the most decorated world champion, but he's not even acknowledged as a world champion because they don't consider AWA big enough. So Hulk Hogan was an AWA champion once. They don't tack that onto his tallies. So they
Yeah,
just do WCW with him. They just do WCW and WWF. So it's really that, and that's my main point is that I think they really just made up 16-time champion for Ric Flair because they never called him that in WCW. They never called him
they
the 16-time champ. They didn't do it until
they
he came
Goldberged
back
it.
to yeah, they didn't do that until he came back to WWE after they bought WCW. Um, so, like I said, really interesting that they, in my opinion, made that up and stuck to it so hard. Like John Cena absolutely has the record for WWE championships, but he also has for a really long time. He's had like 16 for years because he hasn't been that active. And
Yeah,
shoot, I mean, I think the next closest is probably Orton and Triple H.
yeah, they're both tied for 14, I think.
I believe that's correct. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean WWF alone, like those guys have got big numbers, but yeah, like so to me, like it doesn't I can't make logic of how they add these up. Like I said, there's no way to add that up for Flair. And even companies that they own, they don't always acknowledge their world titles. So like, I don't know. It's nonsense to me. So I'm
I,
still gonna consider Flair the all-time major world champion as far as numbers. And I'll give Cena his flowers as the most winning WWE world champion because he is. And like but then then we could get into like real semantics about like who deserves more clout. Like Roman Reigns hasn't held it as much, but he's like his one title reign, his last one, he held the title longer than Cena has combined of his 17 titles. What's more impressive? Like he didn't
yeah,
lose it. Cena
yeah.
lost it all these times. He had to win it back. So, but again, like that could be. I'm not saying we have to do this one, but like that could be an episode on in and of itself. Like I get really weird about I guess Cloud is a world champion. I think it's a big deal, and I think that they're um a little weird about how they give proper credit for these things.
That's fair. That's super fair. Um, yeah, I'm gonna research this and figure out where the 16 comes from, if it's possible. If it's possible to figure it out. If it's not possible, then they Goldberged it, and cool. You know,
Yeah,
we might as well say that he went 87 and 0 or something, because we're just throwing numbers out there at that point.
yeah,
Like it doesn't matter.
I for real.
So
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. But my point is great, like greatest of all time in the scope of WWE, because that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about including the rest of the world because obviously there's better wrestlers out there in the history of wrestling that have existed. Maybe not in WWE, but have existed. But greatest of all time, in my opinion, John Cena. Winningest world champion of all time in WWE, John Cena.
Yeah, he's not hashtag not my goat, but I do have a lot of respect for Cena. He he was after Hogan being like the biggest face you could ever be, he took the reins, and not everybody could do that. It's pretty much Hogan, Cena, and maybe current day Cody. It takes a really special person at the very right time to take those reins over. And those are the only three I could think of that really kind of did it.
So we're gonna leave out Austin. We're gonna leave out The Rock.
Yeah, absolutely, because those guys weren't always faces. Like these guys are super
Oh, the
faces that were
faces.
faces for,
Okay,
I mean, yeah, I mean, like you're super face of a company. Like, you could be the biggest face in the company, but like you can't be a super face like that. The Rock
that's
and
fair.
Austin had, they towed the line and bounced back and forth on the line of heel and face.
That's fair. Like Austin was
Yeah.
anti-hero at best for the
Yes.
majority of
Yes.
his time. So
A hundred
I
percent.
will give you that. I will give you that. We're not looking at the biggest quote unquote face of the company, but the literal
Yeah.
face of the company while you're a face kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right. There's a difference between the face of the company and a super face. Austin, 100% one of the biggest faces of the company of all time. Like to me, like he was the difference maker in the Monday Night Wars. Like if there was no Austin, I think that company would have folded. And you could say that about The Rock and Triple H too. They were key players. The only thing I can't really give it to The Rock for is because The Rock really only has like 7 active years in WWE, where he was like 100% a full timer, and then he kind of went off and did Hollywood, and he'd come back every now and then. But I don't, like to me, like I need a solid decade out of you before you're really in the conversation.
That's fair. That's fair. Like he was huge, electrifying. We all get that. No shade on The Rock, but also once
No,
he
those
did
seven
this,
years were five of them were the best years you could have, you know?
yeah. Once he did the Scorpion King, it was over. Like let's all be
Yeah,
honest. He did, like
pretty much.
it's fine. It's fine. We're just gonna CGI The Rock's face on a giant scorpion, and that's
Yep.
gonna be the end of his wrestling career, kind of thing. His
Hmm.
full-time wrestling career. Okay. Okay. Sorry. We diverted hard there, but that's why it's
It
seen as
needed to
my
be done.
honorable mention. It needed to be done. It's fine.
Yep.
It's fine. We do like each other out there. If you're listening to this, we
We
have
were really
legitimately been best friends for a long time. We
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 were on the same page for a long time there too before we started clashing. But yeah, absolutely.
yes,
That's what wrestling's about though, Wrestling, you should have strong opinions about it. If you're a true wrestling fan, you should have strong opinions and you should be able to argue them. And that's what we're about here.
absolutely. And we do it like, with the best best of intentions and not actually trying to hurt each other's feelings or anything like that. And that, ladies and gentlemen out there on the internet, is how you argue and debate somebody. That is how you do it.
It's a lesson.
So
A
for
lesson the IWC needs to be reminded of
yeah,
sometimes.
I will remind you, all those people. I've seen forums out there. We don't really have them a whole lot now, but yeah, some of y'all out there are savages. Okay, you need to reel it back.
Yeah,
All right,
the
so
Twitter world is ruthless,
it's
but you could have a lot of
ruthless.
fun on there.
Yeah. All right, so number 5 for my power rankings. I'm putting down Chad Gable slash El Grande Americano. I understand they're two
Whoa,
separate people. I
whoa,
understand they're
whoa.
two separate people. I feel like both of those individuals, who are definitely not the same person at all, uh, are
Okay,
equally
you got him.
being
You
like,
got him tied.
yeah, I got them tied. I couldn't split them apart. Like you
Fair
mentioned with
enough.
El Grande, like he's kind of got a little bit of a rocket under him. The crowd's behind him. He's putting on absolutely astonishing matches,
Banger
and
after banger.
yeah, I love the gimmick. I love where he's going with it, and it's great. Chad Gable will quite possibly always be on this list for me. He's perfect. If you took a cart like a cutout of a mid Carter, like, and said, I want a professional wrestler, I want him to be a workhorse, and I want him to be able to be inserted anywhere in the show and drive that portion of the show and do it well, Chad Gable fits that template for me. He's amazing
Oh
on the
yeah,
mic. He's amazing in his promos. He's absolutely amazing in a ring, which, as we've seen before with Kurt Angle, once you have an Olympian in there, like, magic's going to happen. If they can successfully make that transition from, uh, the Olympic amateur wrestling background to professional wrestling, their athleticism and their skill with what they can do with their bodies is unmatched. So, yeah. And he's been that since he was in NXT. Like, Chad Gable's just absolutely phenomenal for me. He's
Yeah,
just not
if he could
getting a
survive
big enough
Shorty
push
G,
right now to be
yeah.
higher on the list.
If he could
Is
survive Shorty G, he can have a spot there forever, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. All right, so next up, The New Day coming in at number 4. This is my favorite tag team of all time. I'm gonna say,
Hard to disagree. Hard to
I,
disagree.
they're in my opinion, this is the GOAT. They work so well together in ring. Um, you and because singles wrestling is different than tag wrestling and vice versa. It just is. There's a different chemistry that's
Yeah.
required. There's different spots, different psychology, and they play it absolutely perfectly. Um, they're a joy to watch. They're a joy to listen to. They are freaking smoking hot on the mic. I every time New Day's on my screen, I'm a better person for it.
New Day
So
rocks, dude.
New Day rocks. For number 3, I have Jacob Fatu.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I it took me a while to come around to Jacob. It took me a while. I'm not gonna lie. But once I got there, I'm here. I'm here for it. I
I
know
love you, Jacob.
I know earlier that I said one of my problems with Ron is that he no sells stuff. And I know that is also part of what Jacob's shtick is, right? Like he's the freaking Samoan werewolf. You can't hold him down because he just
Mhm.
pops right back up. The difference to me is, like I mentioned, those little idiosyncrasies of doing it in a way that makes sense. When it makes sense for Jacob to stay down, he stays down. When it makes sense for him to pop up, he pops up.
Yeah.
And it enhances the character of him being an unstoppable badass in a in an organic way that functions in the match and doesn't break the psychology. It's not like he's just popping up for the sake of popping up. So he really understands how the match is moving, how it's working, and how to do that. Like all the aspects of the match. He's talented in the ring. I have no idea how somebody his size has as much like how big a gas tank as he does. Like all gas, no brakes is no bullshit. Like that dude, that is crazy stamina for them. And
You got what I mean?
dude, so yeah, he's a solid number 3. I'm so happy that he's the U.S. champ right now, and I'm really intrigued. I want to see him do great things.
Yeah.
For number 2, Seth. We've gone over this. I don't think I can add any more to my Seth Rollins Love Fest that I did earlier. So he comes in at number 2
Yeah.
for me, and for number 1, the man himself, Dominic Mysterio.
I'm not
Uh,
mad at that at all, man. I love me
uh,
some Dom.
Dom winning the IC title, like when they first introduced Dom, I'm like, oh great, they're bringing in Rey Mysterio's son, right? I didn't care about his name.
Yeah.
It's Rey's kid. That's all it was.
Yep.
And then for the longest time, it's Ray's kid, and it's like, oh, look, he's a face with his dad. Oh, cool, that's so sweet, and everything. But he's not a wrestler, he's just Ray's kid who got to step in the door because he's Rey Mysterio's kid. But he has really, over the years, you can see it. He's put in the work, he's put in the training, he's really tried to not only improve in the ring and on the mic and stuff, but to really understand how everything works and how it all clicks together in a way that makes sense and either gets the people to love you or hate you. He's a fantastic heel. Um, he's super entertaining to watch, and he plays all of those parts so well. And you can see shades of his dad. You can see shades of Eddie Guerrero in there, like all those influential
Oh yeah.
influential people he had growing up around him. Like you can see those influences in his style, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic to watch. Um, you love to hate them, and I seriously like I love that they are giving him a big push right now and letting him run with at least what in one point in time was the second most prestigious title in the business. So um, yeah, that's what I got for power rankings.
Yeah, like him, man. I appreciate what you said about Dominic. I'm a fan myself. Best thing they ever did was have him go heel on Edge and his dad, and he's had great heat ever since. You got dimes fighting over you. Um, he's just hilarious, man, and he plays his role really well. I love how he like does an Eddie Guerrero look, which is such a great callback for longtime fans.
Hmm.
Honestly, just a real joy to watch. So yeah, not mad at that.
Yeah, I also am not mad at that. I might be biased considering it's my list, but whatever.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
Should we roll into some quick predictions for Money in the Bank? I know we're
Yeah,
chatting a lot, but
we're chatting a lot.
we'd be remiss to not hit on the Money in the Bank that's approaching.
Thankfully, I don't think it'll take that long because there are only four matches on this card, which is understandable. Money in the Bank, as we've both said, should be included. Well, it can't be included in the top, in the big four, but it should be a big five with Money in the Bank being up there.
I agree, 100%.
So I don't know what the order of these are, but I do know what the matches are. So let's start off with let's get it over with non-title tag team match. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. What do you
Yeah,
think?
so I that's it's going to be a fun match. Say what you want about Logan Paul, he's an absolute natural with this company. He's good in the ring and he's phenomenal in the ring and he's good on the mic. Um, and he plays off of his real life heat, which is smart. I think that it's tough, but I feel like you need a heel win here. Like I feel like you have to put them over because it's going to make Cody's hunt more interesting. And Jay's always, he's always got to overcome something. He's hot right now. I don't know. Like I'm not saying this works great for Jay, but I could I feel like a heel win here makes more sense to me. I wouldn't be surprised if they went the other way. It's not like I'm 100% sure this is the way it's going to play out, but to me, I think Cena winning this makes more sense because I don't think Cody's going to win it back anytime soon. But I guess that's an argument to have Cody win this. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. I wouldn't bet any money on it, but I'm leaning towards the heels winning this one.
You on this? I feel that Cody needs the loss more than he needs the win,
Yeah,
to set up for that that chase. Because I think like we talked about this when I actually came out to visit, right? Like you had
yeah,
mentioned that the the real draw of a face is the chase for the title. And the real
yeah. It's
draw
not
for
so
the
much title
heel,
run.
yeah, it's not the title run itself, it's the chase for the title. And that's
Yes.
why you have, when you get the faces that have the title, they kind of cool off because it's like you have nothing more to anticipate. They've already gotten there. They hit the finish line. Whereas heels, it's all about the title run. Now they can just have fun with it or whatever, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep. And it builds to like how badly you want to see them lose it. So when they finally do, it's a big deal.
exactly. So, I feel like in that with that realm of thinking, Cody needs the loss, which is dumb to say, or super
Mhm.
counterintuitive, but I feel like Cody needs the loss more than he needs the win.
I agree.
Cena, I, I feel honestly like if he's gonna like legitimize this title run in anything more than just them literally saying, yes, of course you're gonna get the nod and get the 17,
Mhm.
he needs to appear strong at least a
Yeah,
little bit before he loses the title inevitably. Um, so I feel like this is gonna go to push that rivalry. It's gonna go Cena over Rhodes. Like Cena's gonna pin Rhodes or something.
I think
Um,
that that should happen. And honestly, like if I'm playing matchmaker here, I'm not having Cena lose at all until his final match, and then he could pass the torch back to Cody. But until then, he shouldn't lose anything.
Not unless it's like by a disqualification or something like that, and that only
Yeah,
is in the lead
right.
up to like, oh crap, I'm really outmatched here. I'm gonna lose this.
Yeah.
DQ so I can, hold on to my belt or something, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
I agree.
Logan Paul, like you said, he's a natural. He needs more time, but it seems like he's legitimately trying to learn the business in ring, like he's getting better. And I think he is really just trying to dedicate time to learning the ins and outs of that rather than just being like, hey, look, I was a YouTube star and a Vine star and I can get you cheap rating boost, you know?
Right,
So
right. Yeah,
with,
this isn't like a Bad Bunny thing. Like he's
no,
legit.
yeah. So he's legitimately trying. I don't know how they ever make him a face, so I don't know how his character ever evolves, but for right now, I appreciate him putting in the time and effort and seeing what he can actually do because he is entertaining in the ring. I will say that. I
Yeah, and
feel
good point. I don't think they can ever turn him face, which is a really good point that I didn't think about.
yeah. So I mean, eventually, if that's the case, it is going to burn out because his character can evolve. So we will get
Mhm.
stale of it, or we'll get tired of it, and that'll happen. But it works. It works for right now. Jay, it sucks if he loses the match, but it's a tag match, and he can lose the match without losing the match or being the one that lost the match. So if Cena pins Cody, we Jay still comes out looking strong as a champion, even with that L.
Yeah,
So
and throw in
that's
some easy shenanigans, like you
yeah,
you can justify it.
yeah. So that's how I see that one going. I agree. I think the heels, it makes more sense for them to win this. So I am gonna go. That's gonna be my prediction is John Cena and Logan Paul. Uh,
All right.
Now we have a last chance match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. If Lyra wins, Becky cannot challenge for that title as long as Lyra's holding it.
Yep.
And
Uh,
if Becky wins, then Lyra has to raise Becky's hand herself. So
yep.
I honestly think, like I said before, I think that a win here would help solidify Lyra as a champion, but I think it's more important to have the belt evolve than it is to have Lyra's character as a champion keep going. So I think Becky's going to take this one.
All right. So I disagree. Honestly, for some of the points you made, I think that Lyra beating Becky twice solidifies her. I think that she needs it more than Becky does. Becky is a surefire Hall of Famer. I'm not a big Becky fan. I think the man shtick has been stale for years. And honestly, like I know that this isn't going to be a popular opinion, but the Irish accent is just so off-putting for me. I'm annoyed by both of these chicks a lot of times. But I will say I do, for the most part, like Lyra. I think that she's got a lot of potential. She's not really like blowing me away by any means. And also like a weird thing about her too is like a lot of the women's wrestlers, and I know we just like totally buried the Divas division, but a lot of them do look better in the ring gear because it's really revealing. For some reason, I think she looks better like when she's not in ring gear. Is that weird? Like when she's
No.
just in normal clothes.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it,
like
like for
that's
some reason
sometimes
yeah,
that's how
she
it
looks way
is.
better.
Yeah,
But
sometimes it's just how it
anyway,
is.
that's just a real quick, you know, just being a dude, like noticing these like gorgeous gals. But I think that I think Lyra has to win, and I don't think it does anything for Becky to win this. You could argue that it does something for the title to have Becky put her hands on it, and that would be a very fair argument. Like I said, she's absolutely a Hall of Famer. Um, I think that, but like I don't know. I don't know what it does for Lyra, and Lyra is one of your rising stars who still doesn't feel like a star, even being the inaugural women's IC champion. I think having her go over a surefire Hall of Famer like Becky Lynch really does a lot for her. It shows that it was no fluke. She's the next big top star, and I like I said, I like that for her. If Becky wins, I'm just going to be disappointed. I'm so sick of Becky Lynch. But again, obviously there's a lot of bias in these opinions. That's the way it should be. That's the way being a wrestling fan is. I just don't want to see Becky win. I'm sick of Becky, and I want to see Lyra, continue to make strides to build her way up because right now, like Lyra, like I said, she's just not doing a ton for me. Putting these two wins over Becky, that kind of makes it a little bit more undeniable. I think it just makes more sense to have her win. And then that also forces Becky to do something different. Like she can't challenge for that title anymore, so she's gotta go and do a different story. You can't keep doing the same thing, and this rivalry has to end. Can it end if Becky wins this? I don't think it can, and I don't need to see these women have you know this many matches against each other consecutively.
It's super fair. That does get stale in and of itself,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like just seeing the same thing over and over and over again.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, solid points. Solid points. Okay. Winnie, since we're on women's, let's just keep it going. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Alexa Bliss, Julia, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, and Stephanie Vakir. Uh, this is a tough one for me because
This is a tough one for me too. I'm
I
curious
can
what you got to
see,
say.
I could see a lot of different storylines that pop out of this. And realistically, like we've said, that's kind of what it sets up, right? Like same thing as like what happened last year. Tiffy wins and then she aligns herself with Naya, and you're just waiting for the inevitable to happen, right? Um, with that said, I think as much as I would love Alexa Bliss to win this and be champion, that's literally just a bias because I love Alexa Bliss. I
Yeah.
think Roxanne Perez makes the most sense winning the Money in the Bank because it sets it up for her to take out either Liv, like turn her back on Liv,
Mhm.
which is especially juicy considering she just joined the Judgment Day, or taking out Rhea after Rhea takes out Liv, and then setting up something where then Liv is jealous of Roxanne because now Roxanne is in there with the belt that Liv just lost, kind of thing. So
That's a really interesting angle that I wasn't thinking about. I like that a lot.
yeah,
Um,
so I'm gonna say
ah,
Roxanne takes this. That's my prediction.
so honestly, like that was good enough to the point where it almost makes me change my pick. Almost. Roxanne wasn't really on my radar, which is another reason why it would be a good choice. And it would make a lot of sense. She did everything you could do in NXT. She was the biggest female in that brand for a long time. And now she's up and she hasn't done anything at all. Like they were throwing her in some Judgment Day stuff, and that's interesting, but like I don't know if she's even won a match since going to the main card. Like she's kind of gotten semi buried. So this would be a great opportunity for her to make that jump. Like this is a match where you can really bring somebody out of the gutter. Like people forget, like this is what happened with Daniel Bryan. Like Daniel Bryan was getting buried for a long time, and then he won the Money in the Bank, and he was still getting buried for a while. But then when he cashed it in and he became the champion, there's no turning back for him. He was a star. And even
Yep.
when they tried to bury him, like they couldn't. He was at that point it was too late. So this is a match that really can do a lot for Roxanne Perez. I think it just it depends on what you want to do here. You have three up and comers, three recent NXT uh women in this match who, if you want to push them, now is a perfect time to do it. Now, you could also argue, which is where I lean, that because they're so new to the roster, there's time and you could build them slowly and it's not a big deal. There's women in this match who could use it a lot more. I'll start out with who I don't want to win and who I don't think should win under any circumstances, and that's Rhea Bloody Ripley. Rhea is great. I'm not denying that for a second, but also Rhea is one of the least entertaining faces I've ever seen. She's just built to be a heel, and I couldn't be less interested in her right now. Her character is very stale to me. I just don't need to see another title run with her right now. It's not the time. It would do nothing for the product or the business to have her win Money in the Bank.
I
Um,
I agree with that.
so
I agree with that.
yeah,
Um, in
yeah,
my opinion, and Rhea, Rhea has built up enough of a reputation and a fan base. She's strong enough where she doesn't need Money in the Bank, like a backhanded, cash in to win the championship. She can go in and decimate somebody and win the championship. She's a
Right.
legitimate contender. So she doesn't need Money in the Bank to do that. She can just do that. So which is why being the looking at the list, her being as if you would look at it like a power thing, whatever, she's the odds-on favorite, right? That's why I think
Yeah.
she's not going to take it because she doesn't need it. There's no way, shape, or form that she needs Money in the Bank to succeed.
She she was just champion a few months ago. Like,
Yeah,
it's not like, oh man, when's mommy gonna be back on top? She was just on top. She doesn't need this. So yeah, we're definitely on the same page with that. So now the two left, you have Naomi and Alexa Bliss. Naomi has just reinvented her character. And I'm not going to lie, as somebody who's never been in Naomi at all, it's kind of working for me. Like, I don't mind this crazy, this crazy sort of uh, creepily obsessed with Bianca now. Like, I don't know, it's kind of working. I'm enjoying her more now than I have in a very long time. Maybe the most ever, which isn't saying a lot. Again, I'm not a big Naomi fan, but this is kind of working. So if you wanted to push this new version of Naomi, what better time? I know she's held the title before, but she hasn't held it a lot. She hasn't held it in a long time, and her title reigns were never that impressive. So like this would be a good time if you wanted to give throw Naomi a bone. It would be an appropriate time, I'd say. But ultimately, and I'm not even saying this is like going to be the best move, but I think you kind of have to give it to Alexa here, and I'll tell you why. Alexa was man when she came out of NXT, it was like her and Charlotte, right? Like they were the two biggest things. And like people forget that because Charlotte had a much longer run of being the top gal, where Alexa, it was there for maybe a year or two, and then I think she got hurt or something. And then like she'd be gone for long periods of time. She'd come back. I I loved Bray Wyatt, but I didn't care for her being like a female fiend version of him, which she's kind of still got shades of, obviously, but not as much as she was. I thought she carried that version of her for too long. Um, I'm not saying I need her to go back to being the goddess, but like that was her peak. So now, you have her back. What are you going to do with her? What do you want to do with her? And I think the only thing that makes sense is to give her this opportunity to win a big event and have, a clear path to winning the title again, because she hasn't been the champ in a long time. And I think a title run for her could do a lot for bringing her back into the mix in this division. And, like the new people coming up, they've got all day to develop. And, you could even have one of them take the title from her down the line, and that would do a huge things for their career. But I think putting it on a veteran like Alexa Bliss makes the most sense at this time in the scenario.
that makes a lot of sense. You made some really good points there. Um, I agree with that to an extent. I think they are going to try and slow build Julia's character out as a heel, because that seems to be working, and she's
Yeah,
fantastic in the ring. So like, why not? Kind of
absolutely.
thing. And the same thing with Stephanie Bakir. I think that she's not going to get it because if you slow build somebody with Stephanie's talents, you turn her into a Charlotte kind of thing. Like you don't give her the belt right away. You don't give her the money in the
Yep,
bank right away. You build it up over a year or two, and then she just becomes a megastar. She has that potential.
I agree.
So I
I
super
agree.
agree
It's
with
the right way
that.
to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I can see that. I can see Alexa coming down with that. So I'm looking forward to that now. Now I'm invested. I'm more invested.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of routes you can go with it, but yeah, I think that'll be a really interesting one to watch.
yeah. So finally we have the men's Money in the Bank with Andrade, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Penta, Seth Rollins, and El Grande Americano.
All right, what do you got for this?
Oh, this is hard. This is a hard one. All right, I'm gonna eliminate who I don't think is gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be Andrade. I don't think it's gonna be Penta. And I could be completely wrong in saying this. It could be one way or the other, but I don't think it's gonna be El Grande Americano. As much as I would love that, because again, I love this guy. I don't think it's gonna be
I'm
him.
with you.
I think he's there for the pop and the spots, and I think that's what he's there for.
100%
So
agree. Yep.
yeah, so that leaves LA Knight, Solo, and Seth. Um, Out of those three, I think it's going to be Seth. Him coming in trying to do this power grab and saying, essentially like I'm going to win the title back. I'm going to decimate everyone in my way, and I'm going to do everything I can to get there. Um, it's shades of I'm not going after you, Jay. I'm not going after you, Cena. I'm just going after the title. I don't care who has it. That's my end goal. So giving him money in the bank lines up for me with that because it doesn't matter who the champion is. Seth is the champion, and we've seen that before.
Yep.
He's obviously won it before. He did the heist of the century. He turned a WrestleMania main event into a triple threat and took the title. It was fantastic. One of the best cash-ins I've ever seen in my life. Um, I don't think if he did win, that it would be that spectacular again. But I do see the storyline that they're building for Seth playing into like this is a major like another stop along the way in that storyline's development, and especially considering the fact that he has Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in his corner for those shenanigans. You got to figure in you have two big guys that are pretty much unstoppable in your corner to help back you up. That Yeah,
Yeah.
Solo just got his new guy in there, but you can't really count on Jacob to come in there and help him out because, like you said, Jacob is about Jacob, or his character
Yep.
at least is like Jacob's about Jacob. He's not necessarily about Solo or the family. So, that kind of eliminates that. LA Knight, we all would love to have him win it because that would just be fun.
Yeah.
But what happens when he wins the title? Like, like is he actually gonna like the face character that he is right now? Is that gonna be able to translate into the main event picture and hold the title down? You know, or is it gonna flop? Because we've seen this before, where they win Money in the Bank, they cash in, they're successful, and then 2 months later, the crowd's already over them because they had their big moment.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah.
I don't want that for Knight. I feel like he's gonna get a title shot and I feel like he's gonna get there. I just feel like it needs to be a little bit more of an organic slow burn than just handing it to him because I think it's gonna seem too much too fast to the universe and they're gonna reject him. And I don't want that for him because then we've all seen what happens then. He's gonna end up in AEW and you know all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, and I don't think I think Solo's in there to be a quote unquote threat, but I don't think that Solo's actually going to take that. I think like, them trying to like scramble around with the new bloodline and figure out where they're going to go with it is more of a priority than him trying to be on the title hunt, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, yeah, Seth Rollins locking it in. That's my choice.
So all I can do is add to what you said because I agree with everything that you just said. Yeah, so I mean, you hit it on the head with El Grande Americano. He's there for entertainment value, and he's going to have some great spots in this match. I think he has 0% chance of winning it. Unfortunately, we're both big fans. The dude's great, and I just like, but yeah, realistically, like he's not going to win this match. I think that I think that Penta is doing a really good job since he's come in. He's still very new to the company, though. I don't see them giving it to him either. Um, Andrade. So I've talked about this with Aleister Black too. I just think these are two guys who peaked in NXT. They just cannot get over on the main roster, whether it be WWE or AEW, for whatever reason. And I don't, and he's not over right now. He hasn't done hardly anything right now. Him winning this match would be more surprising to me than El Grande Americano, who I just gave 0% chance to.
Yeah.
Um, LA Knight, and that's a tough one, but I agree with you. Like, I just don't think he could win this match. He's done a great job. He is a big face right now. And he's one of those guys who he's as good of a face as he is a heel. And I know he's a little bit older. He's been around the block quite a bit. He was in TNA a long time. He was a really good TNA champ. Even in NWA, like the new relaunch Power that I was mentioning earlier, he was there for a minute. He did awesome. I think that it would suck for LA Knight to not get a world title at some point. I don't think he's going to do it as a face though. If he does it, which I recognize is a big if, he'll do it as a heel. Because he's kind of getting to the point where his face run is getting a little stale, at least for me. Um, so yeah, I just don't see him going over on this match. Solo Sikoa, again, can't agree with you more. I don't think he's going to get a lot of help from Jacob Fatu, who he might come down at some point. I don't know if he's going to do much. I think Solo's there to be more of a threat. I agree with that. I don't see him going over. I don't think anybody really wants to see that. And then, yeah, for everything we've said throughout this episode, Seth is the most logical decision. He's got this super faction now. He's got Heyman. He's looking good. He's looking powerful. It wouldn't make any sense for Seth to not win this match. You could throw some curveballs here, I guess, but yeah, to me, this is the most obvious match on the card. I think that Seth has to win this match.
Again, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Now,
I
I
think it's
mean,
going
if
to
you
be
would have,
entertaining. I think it's going to be entertaining no matter what. I think we're
yeah,
going to have some good moments, and at the end, we're going to have two briefcase holders and potentially two future champions in that. And I'm all right with that.
I am
Um,
too. I think this match would have been a lot more up in the air if Sammy and or CM Punk was in it.
yeah,
Again, like kind of what we were talking about earlier, as far as like future potential, I think that the fact that they didn't put them in is really interesting to me. Like they have to have a plan for these guys afterward. But yeah, without them in, to me, like this is a match made for Seth to win.
yeah. And I like that you said right before the Seth thing. I will give it to Triple H and Creative. It does seem that they recognize the difference between just putting a rocket on somebody and giving them a huge push and making it make sense and doing a slow burn like they did with Cody. Like it
Yes.
they have turned they've turned a corner with how they were doing stuff before during Vince and everything, and it has reflected in those big storylines that how that's making sense and how the universe is accepting it and how it's going over. So I'm a huge fan of that myself, and I couldn't agree more. Like if they're gonna put the title back on Punk at some point, or they're gonna give it to Sammy for his first one, this is not the way to do it. Having them either change up their character, become heel, or uh, have a more drawn out build where it makes sense for them to take it. That I
Yeah.
feel is going to be way more satisfying than them cashing in. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it for today. We've been talking for quite a while, so
Oh yeah, this is a good catch up episode. Like I think we really kind of hit everything we needed to hit. This was good.
yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll call it, and yeah, we will talk with you guys following Money in the Bank and go over everything that happened and what our thoughts were on it. All right. So
All right.
yeah, thanks, John. And I will talk to you later for Make Us Believe podcast. I'm Michael.
I'm John.
Don't stop believing, guys.